All right, let's jump right in. We're diving deep into football transfers today, folks. Specifically, how Manchester United is looking for the rest of the season. And we've got some exciting stuff to work with. Breaking news, live transfer updates, the whole shebang.
Yeah, it's going to feel like we're right there in the war room with them.
Yeah.
And what I find really interesting about this deep dive is, we're not just looking at names on a list, right? It's about the strategy. It's about the potential impact on their defense.
Yeah.
And really, it reveals a lot about what Man U wants to achieve this season.
Exactly. I mean, the headlines are already buzzing. Manchester United double signing, not one, but two defenders.
Whoa.
Patrick Dorgu from Lecce and Ayden Heaven coming from Arsenal. Looks like they're serious about that backline.
Yeah, and you have to consider manager Ruben Amorim's tactics, too.
Yeah.
He loves that 3-4-2-1, which means those wingbacks got to be rock solid.
So let's break down this Dorgu signing first. He's a 20-year-old Danish left back, and he's been putting up some pretty impressive numbers over at Lecce.
Yeah.
5 goals, an assist, 57 games. You don't see that every day from a defender.
No, you really don't. I mean, that's not just your average stay-at-home defender. This guy's involved in the attack. He's pushing forward, creating chances, even scoring himself. Versatility, that's the word.
Okay, I like the sound of that attacking mindset, but how does that actually work in Amorim's system? I mean, are we going to see like a more aggressive Manchester United now?
It's definitely possible. Think about it. Dorgu overlapping with the wingers, delivering those dangerous crosses into the box, could add a whole new dimension to their attack.
Okay. Now that I like. But we can't forget about defense. If he's so focused on attack, does that leave any gaps at the back?
Well, that's always the question, isn't it, when you have these attack-minded defenders? It'll be interesting to see how Amorim balances things out, especially with Shaw and Malacia being out with injuries right now.
Right. So Dorgu isn't just a nice to have, he's actually addressing a real need. All right, but now on to this Ayden Heaven, 18-year-old center back, and they snatched him straight from Arsenal's academy.
That's a bold move, especially considering he hasn't even played a first-team game for Arsenal yet. But here's the thing. He really impressed in a preseason match against Manchester United, no less. And Mikel Arteta, Arsenal's manager, he even had some pretty high praise for the kid.
Wait, so they signed a player that basically impressed them while playing against them?
Pretty much.
Okay, I'm listening. What did Arteta see? What made this Heaven guy stand out?
Well, Arteta described him as physically strong, calm, composed on the field, even under pressure. There are even some comparisons floating around to Patrick Vieira, the Arsenal legend.
Hold on. Patrick Vieira, the midfielder, known for his strength, his leadership, dominating the game. That's a huge comparison for a young defender.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you got to remember, those comparisons, they're just comparisons. Way too early to say if Heaven will reach that level. But it tells you something about what Manchester United sees in him, right?
So you're saying he's not just like a future prospect. He could actually make an impact now. But where does he even fit in?
Well, primarily he's a center back, which gives them depth at that position. But the interesting thing is he can also play left back. And remember what we said, flexibility is key in Amorim's system.
Okay, so we've got Dorgu, the experienced, versatile left back, scores goals. And we got Heaven, the young gun with the potential of, Vieira. And he can play left back too. Sounds like they're covering all their bases.
Absolutely. They are serious about building a team that can adapt, a team that's ready to play at the top level.
It's not just about the big names anymore. It's about finding those pieces that fit. The manager's vision, the team's needs, and they seem to be doing exactly that.
You got to think about how this shakes things up in the team too. You got those experienced guys like Maguire, Varane. They've been the anchors of that defense.
And Martinez, don't forget Martinez. He's been solid this season.
Oh, for sure. He's been great. But now you bring in Dorgu and Heaven, two young guys, hungry to prove themselves. How does Amorim handle that? All those personalities, the pecking order. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's like a whole new team emerging, but they still got to mesh with the old guard, right? And Amorim, he's known for being flexible tactically, so who knows what kind of formations we'll see.
That's what I'm curious about. How does this change their style of play? I mean, we've been talking about Dorgu and his attacking. Could that mean, like, a more attack-heavy Manchester United?
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. Could his style influence the whole approach to games? Maybe more quick transitions, exploiting those flanks?
Absolutely possible. Those overloads on the left, those crosses, could really open things up. Picture Dorgu and a fast winger working together, cutting inside, wreaking havoc in the box.
Okay, now that's dangerous. But again, what about the defense? Are they going to be vulnerable at the back if they're so focused on attacking? Or does Heaven, with his arrival, does that balance things out?
$1 million question right there. But Heaven's got that physicality, that composure. If he lives up to those Vieira comparisons, maybe we're looking at a future defensive leader, right? Someone who can organize that back line.
Someone to read the game, inspire the team, that's invaluable. And think about the other players, too. The competition for spots. That's got to be motivating for everyone.
Oh, yeah, big time. Knowing your position isn't guaranteed, that pushes everyone to perform at their best. Could elevate the whole squad, not just the new guys.
So it's a ripple effect, right? It's about raising the bar for the entire team, each signing influencing the whole dynamic.
Exactly. A chain reaction. And that's how you build a winning team, right? That constant improvement, that healthy competition.
Okay, but let's zoom out a bit. Big picture time. What do these signings tell us about what Manchester United wants to achieve this season? Are they, signaling they're ready for that title challenge? A deep Champions League run?
They're definitely not messing around. I mean, these are strategic signings, addressing needs, giving them a real shot at those trophies.
Yeah, not just plugging holes. It's about building a team that can compete for the top spot, laying the groundwork for real, lasting success.
Right. And how does this all play out against their rivals? That's what I want to see. The Premier League just got a whole lot more interesting.
For sure. Feels like the balance of power might be shifting. Okay, but before we get too focused on Manchester United, remember those other transfer rumors? That bidding war for Nico Williams, the young winger from Bilbao?
Oh, yeah. Arsenal and Tottenham both circling. That's one to watch. They're both apparently ready to trigger his $48.5 million release clause. That tells you something. He could be a game changer.
Imagine those headlines. Williams' wonder goal sinks rivals. Williams sparks North London derby frenzy. It's getting me fired up just thinking about it.
It shows you how unpredictable the transfer market can be. Things change so fast.
Okay, hold on. Back up. Tell me more about this Williams guy. What makes him so special? What's his story?
Well, he's 22, Spanish winger. Known for his speed, his trickery with the ball, and he scores goals. Been tearing it up for Bilbao, and everyone's noticed.
So speed, skills, and he can finish. Sounds like the complete package. No wonder those North London clubs are after him.
And he's young. 22. Imagine the potential. He could grow with a team, become a world-class talent.
Okay, I'm sold. But which team needs him more? Arsenal? Tottenham? They both have strengths, weaknesses, right?
It's tough to say. Arsenal, they're doing great, challenging for the title. Their attack is already strong, but Williams would add even more firepower.
Especially if they want to compete on all those fronts, right? League, Champions League, the Cups. They need a depth squad.
For sure. Imagine Williams is that super sub, coming in late, injecting that energy, changing the game.
I like it. But what about Tottenham? Where do they fit in?
They've been up and down this season. Great players, but they lack consistency.
Yeah, 1 week they're brilliant, the next, not so much. They need something or someone to give them that edge.
And maybe Williams is that guy with creativity, goals, could unlock their potential.
So he could be a game changer for both teams, but it's more than just talent, right? How does he fit with the team, the manager, the style of play?
Absolutely. Transfers are never guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's about the fit, the philosophy, the whole culture of the club.
And the mentality, right? Can he handle the pressure of a big club, those high-stakes games?
Crucial question. The mental side is just as important as the physical. But wherever he ends up, Nico Williams is a player to watch, that's for sure. He's got that star quality.
Okay, back to reality for a second. Realistically, are Arsenal or Tottenham actually going to trigger that release clause? That's a lot of money.
It is a hefty price tag, but both clubs have shown they're willing to spend big if it's the right player.
And a talent like Williams, he doesn't come around every day. If they're serious about trophies, they might have to make a move.
The next few days could be very interesting for those North London clubs. This transfer window, always full of surprises.
This is like a football soap opera. I'm hooked. Okay, but let's get back to Manchester United. How do these signings, how do they fit into the grand scheme of their season?
Good point. Remember, they brought in Amorim, the new manager, at the start of the season. He's all about flexibility, getting the best out of his players.
Right. He's like a tactical mastermind, using these new players to build something special. And it seems to be working, right? They're improving.
Yeah, climbing that table, playing with confidence, starting to look like a real force again.
But let's be honest, they're not quite there yet. No trophies for a few years now. The fans are hungry. They want silverware.
Oh, that's the pressure that comes with managing Manchester United, right? The expectations are huge. But maybe these signings, maybe they're the key to a comeback.
So it's not just about the squad. It's about sending a message to the other teams. We're back. Watch out.
Exactly. A statement of intent. And the window's still open. Who knows what else they might do?
Now you've got me thinking. What else could they need? Another striker. Midfielder. World-class keeper. The possibilities.
Hard to say. But people are talking about central midfield. They've got decent players, but maybe they need more creativity there.
Someone who can control the pace, unlock defenses, maybe even score a few goals. A real maestro.
Right. The rumors are flying. You know how it is.
Yeah.
All whispers and speculation until something's official.
Well, I'll be listening for any hints about that midfield. But for now, what can we expect from Manchester United in the next few weeks?
Tough games coming up. Some of the top teams, home and away. It's a real test for them, their character, their quality.
Crunch time. Can they step up, prove they're contenders?
Big question. But with these new signings, a manager who knows how to use them, I wouldn't count them out. Could be some surprises.
Feeling optimistic. This Manchester United team, they're on the verge of something exciting. But we can't forget about the other teams. This Premier League season, it's going to be a good one.
Oh, absolutely. So competitive, so many teams could win it all. It's a marathon. Every point matters.
A race to the finish line. But before we get ahead of ourselves, what about the other big clubs making moves in the transfer market? Chelsea, for example, they always seem to be in the mix for big signings.
Always. They're looking to boost their attack, more firepower up front.
Makes sense. Can't have too many goal scorers, right? Anyone in particular we should be watching for?
Well, there's Victor Osimhen, the Nigerian striker. He's been fantastic in Italy, playing for Napoli. His name keeps coming up.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him. Pace, power, clinical finisher. He'd be a great addition for any team, especially one that needs goals.
And then you've got Liverpool. They've been quiet so far, but the word is they're looking to strengthen their midfield.
Yeah, their midfield's been a little shaky lately. They could use someone to take control, create those chances, protect the defense.
Exactly. Jude Bellingham, the English wonder kid, his name's been mentioned. But signing him, that would be a huge investment.
He's one of the hottest prospects in the world right now. If Liverpool could get him, that's a major statement. Shows they're serious about getting back to the top.
And of course, there's Manchester City, already dominant, but they always want to improve. Seems like they're after a new left back.
Yeah, with Cancelo leaving, that spot needs filling. It's like they're playing chess, strategically moving their pieces to stay on top.
Amazing how they stay ahead of the game. Always evolving, adapting.
It's almost too much to keep track of. All these teams, players, rumors.
I know, right? It's a lot. But that's part of what makes the transfer window so fun, isn't it? Always changing, always surprises.
1 minute, there's a world record transfer in the works. The next, it's off. It's a roller coaster.
And we're right in the middle of it. It's a great time to be a football fan. So much potential for change, for drama.
We've been talking about signings and transfers, but what about the money? Millions of pounds changing hands. It's a whole other dimension to this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We could do a whole deep dive just on the finances, the fees, the wages, the agents. It's crazy.
It's mind-blowing, but maybe we save that for another time. For now, let's just enjoy the spectacle of it all, right? The anticipation, the new players, the potential.
I agree. It's a special time in football, full of intrigue, so many possibilities.
But before we get lost in the transfer madness, what does all this activity tell us about the Premier League as a whole?
That's a good question. It definitely feels like the balance of power is shifting, right? Clubs are making bold moves, spending big, showing they want to be at the top.
It feels like the competition is more intense than ever. Everyone wants to be the best, have the best squad, win it all.
And that's great for the fans, right? We're in for an amazing season full of surprises, incredible moments.
The Premier League is the most popular league in the world for a reason. Unpredictable, exciting, always something happening. And the transfer window just adds to the excitement.
It's like the pregame show before the main event. And with all these signings, the anticipation is building.
I'm ready. I can't wait to see how these new players do, how the teams adapt, who comes out on top.
It's going to be a ride. The Premier League's a marathon, not a sprint. But with all this going on, it's a marathon you can't miss.
All right, before we wrap things up, let's hear from you, the listeners. What are your thoughts on all these transfers? Which signings are you most excited about? What are your predictions for the rest of the season?
Let us know. We want to hear your thoughts, your perspectives.
And keep watching, because things are about to get really interesting. This is just the beginning of what's going to be an incredible Premier League season. We'll be back soon to break down the action, analyze the key moments, and keep you updated on all the transfer news.
Stay tuned, stay engaged, and keep the conversation going.
This is The Deep Dive, signing off. Thanks for joining us. You know, all this talk about tactics and formations and who's going to fit where, it's easy to forget that there's this whole other side to the transfer window.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The money, right.
The money. We've been so focused on the football side of things, but those financial implications are huge. We're talking millions, hundreds of millions of pounds changing hands.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like a whole other game going on behind the scenes.
It's mind-boggling, like a parallel universe of numbers and contracts and negotiations. But how do clubs even afford these massive transfer fees? Where's all this money coming from?
Well, football clubs, they're businesses, right? They make money from all sorts of things. Tickets, merchandise, sponsorships, those TV deals. It's a whole system.
So it's not just like rich owners splashing cash. There's actual income from the sport itself.
Oh, yeah, for sure. A good chunk of that money goes right back into buying players. It's a cycle. They invest to make the team better, hoping to attract more fans, win more games, and ultimately make even more money.
Okay, it's a business, I get it. But there's been a lot of talk about, financial fair play and sustainability. Are these huge transfers putting the future of the game at risk?
That's the big debate, isn't it? Some people say these massive fees, they're inflating the market, making it harder for smaller clubs to compete, and could lead to problems down the line.
It's like an arms race, everyone trying to outspend each other. But isn't there something to, regulate all this?
Yeah, there is. UEFA, they have those financial fair play rules, FFP, designed to keep things stable, make sure clubs are managing their money responsibly. Basically, they try to prevent clubs from spending more than they earn.
So it's like a set of rules to keep everyone in check, make sure the playing field is level, protect the game's future.
Exactly. But of course, it's complicated, and let's be real, some clubs try to find ways around the rules.
Football wouldn't be football without a bit of drama off the pitch too, right? But what happens if a club breaks the rules? Are there, actual consequences?
Oh yeah, definitely. UEFA can come down hard. Fines, transfer bans, even kicking them out of European competitions. Those are serious penalties. Could really hurt a club.
So it's not just a slap on the wrist. There's real accountability.
There has to be. It's about finding a balance, right? Letting clubs be ambitious, but making sure they're not reckless with their spending.
Walking a tightrope. All right, but let's switch gears a bit. We've talked about the money side of things, but what about the players? The human side of these transfers?
Yeah, that's important, and it often gets lost in all the talk about finances. These are people, individuals with their own dreams, families, lives that are completely changed by these moves.
It's easy to forget that, right? They're not just pieces on a board. They're real people going through a huge life change, their careers, their personal lives.
Imagine being a young player, moving to a new country, a new city, new team, new language maybe. It's a lot to adapt to, and the pressure to perform is enormous.
And the media attention, the fans, it's intense. And we've seen players who struggle with that. Their form drops, they become targets.
Right, and what about their families? Moving to a new place, starting over, that's not easy for anyone.
It's a good reminder that there's a human side to all this. It's not just numbers and spreadsheets. It's about people navigating a really complex situation.
For sure. Clubs, managers, fans, we all need to remember that. These players, they're more than just athletes, they're role models, and how they're treated matters.
Creating a good environment where they can succeed on the pitch, but also be happy off it.
Exactly. And that goes beyond just the transfer window. It's about building a culture of respect, support within the club itself.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot today. The tactical side, the money, the human element. It's been a fascinating look behind the curtain of the beautiful game.
It has. From how clubs operate to the experiences of the players, the transfer window, it gives you a real insight into football.
It's a good reminder that football is so much more than just wins and losses, goals and trophies. It's a global thing. It connects people, creates stories that go beyond the pitch.
And as the transfer window keeps going, let's appreciate it all, the drama, the excitement, the human stories that make it so captivating.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep the conversation going. Football is always changing. There's always something new to learn.
Until next time, keep watching the games. Keep those transfer rumors coming.
This has been The Deep Dive, signing off. Thanks for listening.